The city of Miami receives more than $6 million to address flooding concerns throughout the city. I'm Samantha Walker, and I'll have that story coming up.
Plus, Missouri Southern's Board of Governors holds a special meeting to discuss penalties for students with late payments. And
the Secret Service is playing defense 2 days after an assassination attempt against former President Donald Trump. I'm CB Cotton in Butler, Pennsylvania. I'll have all the details coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach, and we have several big stories today involving former President Trump. We have the choice for vice president, an update on the investigation into the assassination attempt, and a ruling concerning the classified documents case. We'll get to all of those, but we begin with the former president selecting Ohio Senator J.D. Vance to be his running mate. Now, Vance served in the Marine Corps, graduated from Ohio State University, and is a Yale Law School graduate. He is also the best-selling author of Hillbilly Elegy, which was later turned into a film starring Glenn Close and Amy Adams. Donald Trump cited Vance's successful business career and said the senator will focus on helping American workers and farmers in the Midwest and beyond. Well, delegates to the Republican National Convention this afternoon formally chose Donald Trump as their presidential nominee. This comes as the investigation into the assassination attempt against him ramps up. Fox News correspondent CB Cotton has more from Butler, Pennsylvania.
We're getting more information about the man who shot former President Donald Trump here in Butler, Pennsylvania on Saturday. Trump was delivering remarks when shots rang out. He fell to the ground, his ear grazed by a bullet. The first shooting of an American presidential candidate in more than 50 years. Officials say 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks was the lone gunman. We learned Monday he purchased 50 rounds of ammunition just hours before the shooting, but it's still not clear what his motive was.
We don't know his opinions or affiliations. We don't know whether he had help or support or if he communicated with anyone else.
Meanwhile, criticism of the Secret Service is ramping up, mostly centered on this building, where Crooks fired from a rooftop with a clear line of sight only 200 yards away from the rally. A federal law enforcement official told Fox on Monday local law enforcement had responsibility for securing the rooftop, and sources tell us one officer climbed to the top, saw Crooks armed with a rifle, and then retreated.
The biggest question is how does an assailant get on a rooftop that close to the former and future president? That's an easy shot for somebody that can be just really a recreational shooter.
The Secret Service, though, pushing back against that criticism, saying it bolstered security for former President Donald Trump back in June, and it's now working to keep a situation like this from ever happening again. In Butler, Pennsylvania, I'm CB Cotton, Fox News.
And we have just heard that former President Donald Trump has just arrived at the Republican National Convention. He is just now walking in this evening, and we'll have more on that on KOAM News at 10. Well, a federal judge has dismissed the classified documents case of Donald Trump in Florida because of concerns over the appointment of the prosecutor who brought the case. U.S. District Judge Aileen Cannon granted the defense motion to dismiss the case today, avoiding the prosecution. The Justice Department can appeal, and the case could even potentially land at the Supreme Court. Meteorologist Lindsay Gaffney joins us now with a first look at weather.
Well, temperatures are finally starting to cool down today. We've been in the upper 90s, even in the triple digits in some areas, but currently out in Joplin, it's clear. Temperatures are dropping down to the 80s. However, our overnight low is going to be low 80s, upper 70s. Unfortunately, still going to be a pretty warm night. Out there, it still feels like 94 degrees because humidity is still above 40%. Pair that with high temperatures, it's going to be high heat index values. That continues through tomorrow as well. Temperatures still in some areas in the 90s, 90 in Miami, 92 in Neodesha, 93 in Sedan. And unfortunately, we do still have heat advisories in effect through tomorrow evening as well for most of our counties out in Missouri, Oklahoma, and Arkansas as well, and a few in Kansas. Now, this is due to high heat index values. Luckily, we see relief as a cold front moves through tomorrow night and into early Wednesday morning. We'll talk more about it coming up.
All right, thanks, Lindsay. The Federal Emergency Management Agency is helping address flooding issues in Miami with a new grant. $6.3 million grant is the largest grant the city has ever received. The city will use the money for hazard mitigation projects in 5 different flood-prone areas. Now, their aim is to prevent future road closures due to roadway flooding, and the selected areas are direct routes in and out of the city. An announcement ceremony was held on one of the most effective bridges in the city, where local and state officials celebrated the steps toward improvement.
This is the largest one we've ever gotten. I mean, it just thanks, and we're not stopping here, you know. I mean, we have over $10 million in grants for the last 2 years, which is huge for a city of Miami size. I mean, and we're not stopping. So, I mean, it's just, and you know, we want to help the citizens, we want to help Miami grow, so.
The project is expected to take 3 years to complete from design to finish. The prospect of addressing flood issues throughout Miami is something that makes residents hopeful. KOAM's Samantha Walker spoke with residents about how the flooding has been impacting their lives for decades.
My grandmother is one of those that has lived in a house that's flooded multiple times, and I actually currently live in a house that's on the 500-year floodplain right off of this road.
For Miami residents like Caitlin Baker, flooding is something she not only expects, but she fears every time it rains.
I'm always worried about getting stuck in my house because of the flooding. I never know what's going to happen. Same with my grandmother. Whenever her house floods, or even whenever it rains a lot, I mean literally PTSD. It is so overwhelming because you just don't know how much it's going to flood this time, right?
The flooding issues span across Miami, with streets and even homes and businesses known to frequently fill with water.
Every time it floods in our area, we become an island because these roads go underwater, and you know, it's a state agency that's flooding us, and they kind of hold us hostage.
The city is engaged in a lengthy battle with the Grand River Dam Authority, who Mayor Bless Parker says is responsible for many of Miami's flooding issues. A logjam in April that caused flooding sparked more outcries about the impact on the city. Officials hope that the grant for road improvements in flood-prone areas is a step in the right direction.
This is us kind of breaking free of those shackles with this grant, allowing us to open up our roads and make things be able to flow around our community.
Now, this is the bridge on Veterans Boulevard in Miami. It's one of the key places to flood, and it's being addressed in the grant. Now, Miami city officials say when roadways like this do flood, it makes it difficult for the city to function.
I mean, getting stuck to where I can't go from one side of town to the other unless I go way outside of my normal. And I mean, that costs you more gas. You know, you're using your car more. And with how everything is right now, I mean, that's really hard on someone's paycheck.
A lot of people say, hey, you're the town that floods. I can't bring my business there because I won't be able to get traffic through town when it floods. So this will be that stopgap that won't hold us prisoner anymore.
For residents like Baker, she's excited for what the future might hold.
It literally changes people's lives, and so I'm hoping this will change for the better, and that we can trust in our leadership in Miami that they're going to take care of us and they're going to push for us.
Reporting in Miami, Samantha Walker, KOAM News.
City officials say they are continuing to look for ways to address flooding issues as they continue their legal battle with the GRDA. Well, the city of Miami today also decided not to go through with plans to replace 3 miles of the historical Ribbon Road. The county advanced the plan, aiming to mill and repave the original road, which is part of Route 66. Now, those arguing against the proposal say it would destroy history.
We passed a resolution to help save the Ribbon Road. It's a huge tourism draw for Miami, and it's very important to our economy, our sales tax revenue, and cities in Oklahoma anyway are sales tax driven. So we need those folks coming to our community. We need them stopping. We need them spending their dollars here. And the Ribbon Road is one of those ways that they come and they stop.
The council also voted to establish a Main Street board with the goal of expanding access to property and events downtown. Missouri Southern Board of Governors today held a special meeting to discuss penalties for students who fall behind on payments. The board decided to add a $100 late fee to a student's outstanding balance if payments are behind schedule. Officials hope this fee encourages students to stay on top of payments. Before now, the school withheld transcripts for students with an outstanding balance, but a new federal law changed that.
This is happening specifically because the new federal regulation that we can no longer withhold transcripts for any student who receives Title IV aid.
Well, officials hope this fee encourages students to stay on top of payments. Well, coming up, we'll hear about a local diaper bank, about the need for support. Happy Bottoms Diaper Charity helps Southwest Missouri families who struggle to afford diapers. As demand increases, the charity says they can't help others without donations from the community. KOAM's Melissa Alexis has more.
It takes the whole village to help the people.
1 in every 2 families have difficulty affording diapers for their children. To help, Happy Bottoms Charity in Carthage provides a monthly supply of 75 diapers to families in need.
They're relieved and they are appreciative. They are surprised at the generosity of the program.
But the organization says demand has gone up and they can't meet the diaper needs of the community without the support of donations from the public. And they say they'll even accept open diaper packages.
Definitely an increase in need. We have seen a 77% increase over last year.
Susan Belder-Angulo, the co-executive development director, says that to combat people who aren't in need but may be looking to take advantage of the generosity of charities, they have a system in place.
Portal system that allows an agency like McCune Brooks Healthcare here in Carthage to see where if a family is receiving diapers from another partner agency of Happy Bottoms, and that we really try to make sure that families only receive 75 diapers a month.
According to Nielsen IQ, diaper prices have increased by 22% since 2018, and government assistance, like WIC, doesn't cover diapers. She says that's why this charity matters so much.
It's always heartbreaking to see a family in need, but I think what gives us hope is that we see the relief on a family's face when we say yes, we can give them diapers.
Angulo says that a lack of access to diapers is not only an economic issue, but a health issue, as not having them can cause dermatitis and other skin issues for children. Reporting in Carthage, Melissa Alexis, KOAM News.
Angula is currently advocating to get sales tax on diapers reduced or eliminated. To donate to Happy Bottoms, you can find more information on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. A Neosho, Missouri woman receives state recognition for her volunteer efforts, helping those in need. Susan Carlston volunteers with Freeman Neosho Meals on Wheels, her church, and the Neosho Fish Hatchery. She's a busy woman. Today, the Missouri Community Service Commission recognized Carlston with its Senior Service Award for her efforts.
When I first heard about it, I was just really surprised because I don't feel like I really do any more than anybody else.
Carlston says she was first inspired to help after her injured mother was helped by a volunteer following the Joplin tornado. Well, Lindsay is next with a complete look at your forecast. And later, a local athlete shines at the 2024 Junior Women's Wrestling Freestyle National Championships.
Today was pretty warm. Unfortunately, that's going to continue tomorrow as well. But tonight, we'll go ahead take a look at downtown Joplin from the Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex. It's looking pretty good. A few clouds rolling in, but overall, it's going to be a pretty nice night. We do still have pretty warm temperatures out there. And unfortunately, we still have heat advisories in effect through tomorrow as well, tomorrow evening, for most of our counties out in Missouri, all of them in Oklahoma and Arkansas as well, and a few in Kansas. Now, this is going to continue through tomorrow due to heat indices getting up to the triple digits, even possibly reaching up to 113 degrees in some areas. So it's going to be pretty hot still, pretty muggy, and we do have rain chances moving in after midnight tonight, which we're not looking at anything severe, but as that evaporates when the sun comes up, that's going to add to the humidity that we're already seeing in the area, which is why the heat index is going to be so high tomorrow. So we do have those clouds moving through. Luckily, this is going to be for Tuesday. We do see a drop, well, Monday, excuse me, and Tuesday in the southern counties, major risk, moderate risk in our northern counties. Then we go into Wednesday. This is after the cold front already passes through, and it's going to be a minor risk all around. So we really do drop in that risk after the cold front moves through. We drop nearly 15 degrees. So it's going to be a blessing for all of us, especially with these heat index values. 111 in Joplin tomorrow, 114 in Independence, 115 in Nowata. So mostly in our central and southern counties, going to be really hot. And again, the storms that we're seeing just add to this. We're seeing in the morning, the humidity is just going to continue to add to it. Now, then we move into Wednesday, looking really good. It's going to feel like it's in the 80s. Actual temperatures are going to be in the 80s. It's going to be really great all around after we get through a couple more warm days and some rainy days as well. So this is 5 a.m. We've got those showers pushing in. And again, we're not looking at any type of severe threat, but there could be some lightning, some thunder with some of these storms. We're not looking at anything severe though, not until Wednesday. So we do have these storms pushing in. It is the cold front. However, it does retreat. And then we see the full-blown cold front moving through Wednesday morning or late Tuesday night. So we've got these showers and thunderstorms pushing in, and then even stronger line of storms moving into the area. And these could be strong to low and severe. Main threats we're going to see are strong damaging wind gusts, which as we've seen in our area, it doesn't mean we're not looking at damage, because straight line winds still cause just as much damage as a tornado could. Then we're also seeing a secondary threat of localized flooding and flash flooding in the area, which we got last weekend as well. So we see these storms pass, some scattered thunderstorms and showers continue for the rest of the day on Wednesday. The main threat is going to be in the overnight hours, late Tuesday night into early Wednesday morning. That's where we're seeing that main threat for strong to severe storms. But like I said, luckily temperatures dropped nearly 15 degrees and we're back around average for the rest of the week.
I'm looking forward to that cool down though. That will seem like a huge difference.
It's 11 a.m. I'm out walking the dog and we are dying. We can't even go for our morning walks.
Well, it took me 2.5 hours to mow my yard this morning. You have to wait long enough for the dew to like get for the grass to dry enough to start. And then by the time you're halfway through, it's like, oh, I'm done. It's too hot.
Oh yeah, I get that.
All right, thanks, Lindsay. Well, coming up, the summer travel season is adding some extra baggage for Americans. We learn how many people are going into debt to get away. Americans are digging deeper into their pockets to pay for summer fun despite the rising cost of borrowing money. Fox Business correspondent Madison Allworth has more.
At the heart of it, I think it's this I deserve mentality.
The summer months are a sizzling time to travel, but nearly half of Americans hitting the road are carrying more baggage than what they packed in their luggage.
And, you know, to quote Peter Cetera, everybody needs a little time away, but not on debt.
Wallet Hub says 46% of Americans are still paying off debt from last summer.
If you're going into debt for vacation, you're saying, I deserve this. And so you buy something that you can't afford and you go into debt for it. You start paying it off, but before you can finish, you see something else you deserve and you buy it on payments.
A new Wallet Hub survey found nearly a quarter of Americans would skip a credit card payment before skipping a vacation. 40% said it's worth going into debt for a good getaway.
Commit to paying cash for the vacation, research it, right? Find out how much it's going to cost, budget to save up for it. I suggest EveryDollar. It's my favorite budgeting app. But if you're not in your debt-free era, what we would teach you to do is let's get a hold of our finances first. Let's pay off our consumer debt, right? Let's save up 3 to 6 months, and then we can start committing to cash vacations.
More than half of Wallet Hub's survey respondents planned on spending less money this summer than last summer, with 68% saying inflation is affecting their travel plans.
Then when you actually go on the trip, you need to budget for the spending money that you're going to need. And again, whether you choose cash, I wouldn't carry too much cash on my person. It's nice to have a debit card because it's also protected by the same rules as a credit card, so you don't have to worry about risk.
Money experts recommend taking advantage of credit card rewards when booking travel plans, but make sure you can pay off the balance in full to avoid interest charges. In New York, I'm Madison Allworth, Fox Business.
Up next, Patrick and Brittany Mahomes announce another addition coming to their family. Kansas City Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes has 3 Super Bowl rings under his belt, and soon he'll have just as many children. In a social media post, Mahomes and his wife Brittany announced they are expecting their 3rd child together. The high school sweethearts are already parents to 3-year-old daughter Sterling and 1-year-old son Bronze. The announcement comes on the heels of Mahomes nabbing the Best NFL Player award at the 2024 ESPYs last week. Wonder what the new baby's name will be. Something with gold in it, maybe? 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports is coming your way. A Joplin man is rescued while kayaking after he became trapped underwater. Plus, Missourians will soon head to the polls to elect county coroners. We're going to look at what the position entails and its requirements.
You're watching the 4 states' most watched news.
This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. A quiet day on the James River in Galena, Missouri ended with a kayaker from Joplin fighting for his life. He was saved by others on the river who watched him get trapped underwater. Adam Woodbury spoke to a witness about the rescue.
When the weather heats up, many of us may turn to the lakes or rivers to cool down, but it only takes a moment for a day of floating fun to take a serious turn. And in this case, it was a group of Good Samaritans who were in the right place at the right time over the weekend.
I mean, it's a pretty popular float. There was a lot of people on the river that day.
It's a pretty peaceful spot on the bank where the James River flows through Galena.
Usually put in, it's about a 5-mile float.
But a place where a kayaker became trapped in the current.
And we were about halfway through when this happened.
Chris Bagley was with a group of people floating down the river on Saturday when they took a break in Galena. They met up with a group of friends there. He says they had only been on shore for about 2 minutes when they noticed something was wrong.
Whenever we seen a kayak floating down the river with nobody on it, we didn't know. There were so many people on the river, we didn't know there was somebody trapped under the log until there was a young girl up the river a little bit, and she was like, "Hey, can you guys help me?"
As it turned out, 72-year-old Thomas Forehand from Joplin was the one pinned under the log.
And then it was rescue time at that point.
Once they realized what was happening, Bagley said a group of 5 or 6 young men didn't hesitate to rush to his rescue. After about 2 or 3 minutes, the young men pulled Forehand from the water, took him to shore, and began CPR. After another few minutes, Forehand was breathing and talking. The Stone County Sheriff's Office arrived, but because they were on the opposite bank, the ambulance couldn't get to him, and the sheriff's boat was still a few minutes away.
The first responder, he was on the other side. There's no way he could get there, so my son jumped in the kayak, went over and picked him up, and brought him back to the other side of the river.
About a quarter mile down the river, the ambulance was able to reach them and took Forehand to the hospital in serious condition. According to the Stone County Sheriff's Office, Forehand is now back at work. As for Bagley, he acknowledges, though, had everyone not been in the right place at that moment in time, the outcome could have been much worse.
I mean, that's kind of how we are all around here. You know, we're kind of redneck and backwoods and things like that, but we care a lot for everybody else. And these guys didn't know this guy. They had no idea who he was.
In the end, Bagley says it didn't matter to anyone who the person was. Those young men only knew what they had to do.
You know, God was with them that day, and people need to know that these guys did this.
And a happy ending for sure. Well, officers from the Parsons Police Department helped cool down the public today. The free popsicles were available for anyone in attendance, and officials answered questions from youth and adults alike. The purpose of the program is to connect officers deeper with the community, all while having a little fun. Missouri voters will choose nominees for county coroner on August 6th. KOAM's Amber Jenkins has more.
The role of a county coroner is more than just transferring bodies.
I could, have something at 8 o'clock in the morning, have something at noon, work a homicide till 10 o'clock at night, midnight, 3 o'clock in the morning. The phones do not shut off.
Residents in Jasper, McDonald, Vernon, and Newton counties will vote for their next county coroner for a 4-year term. The Vernon and McDonald County races for coroner are uncontested. Jasper and Newton counties both have 2 candidates running for coroner. The position's qualifications are set by law, and the state county coroner must be 21 years or older and live within the county. According to the CDC, medical training is not a requirement for county coroner.
I think you should have some type of experience. I mean, everyone's a hardworking individual, I'm sure, but the people that come out and want to be the coroner, there are so many things that you have to do. And I mean, we could list everything, but we'll be here for a while.
However, the county medical examiner, who is appointed rather than elected, must be a licensed physician by the State Board of the Healing Arts.
A bit later, celebrating 2 years of exploration.
NASA is showcasing a softer side of the universe. I'm Jonathan Seri in Atlanta with a look at the latest image from the James Webb Space Telescope.
Still going to be a pretty warm night, and heat advisories continue through tomorrow, but we'll go ahead and take a look outside downtown Joplin from the Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex. A little cloudy out there. Some clouds are starting to move in, and we also have a nice breeze as well, but temperatures are still in the mid to upper 80s and even some in the 90s in some areas. We have this heat advisory for most of our counties out in Missouri, all of our counties in Oklahoma and Arkansas, and a few in Kansas as well through tomorrow evening. We may even see a few more pop up in Kansas due to the incredibly high heat index values still in those western counties as well. We'll take a look at that in a moment, but right now we're looking pretty clear. We do have a chance of showers and thunderstorms popping up after midnight tonight, a little bit later in the morning on Tuesday. It's a cold front that's moving in. It does retreat. We see the effects of the cold front really making their way through our area Tuesday night into early Wednesday. So the heat risk is still going to be relatively high, still a major risk in our southern counties, all the way Joplin, Independence, Sedan, Monette, Bentonville, still as well. And then those northern counties, moderate. Now then we move into Wednesday. After that cold front passes in the morning, we've got a minor risk for all of our counties. So we see that heat really drop off, nearly 15-degree drop in temperatures as well. It's going to be welcomed, especially after the heat index through tomorrow. We've got 111 in Joplin, 112 in Oswego, Welsh, Parsons, 114 in Independence, and 115 in Nowata. So these are the heat index values. Now, with the showers and thunderstorms that are passing through early Tuesday morning, after evaporation, that humidity just gets added to the already high temperatures, which is why we're seeing such high heat index values. Then we move into Wednesday. Temperatures are going to be in the mid 80s. It's going to feel like it's in the mid 80s. It's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. Well, right now we'll take a look at the future tracks. This is about 5 a.m. We see some showers and thunderstorms pushing into the northeastern counties, Nevada, Stockton as well. Now, lightning, thunder, but outside of that, we're really not seeing a major severe threat with any of these storms early Tuesday. Like I said, it is that cold front it's pushing in. It does retreat, so we don't see the full effect of a cold front until we move into the evening time and even early Wednesday morning. So this is about 1 a.m. See a few scattered showers already developing, but that cold front really moves in a little bit later in the morning, 3:30, 4 a.m. We see right through these northern counties, even some of the central counties, Nevada, Parsons, Yates Center. You can see a stronger, possibly severe, low-end severe cells in some of these storms. As we get a little bit closer, we'll know exactly what to expect. Scattered thunderstorms still throughout the rest of the day. Now, like I said, low-end severe storms are possible on Wednesday, but we're really looking at flood risks and strong damaging wind gusts. But temperatures drop nearly 15 degrees, and we stay about average for the rest of the week.
So Tuesday night storms are just going to make it hot. And then Wednesdays are going to make it cold?
Tuesday morning storms.
Tuesday morning.
Like a cold front, it moves in, but we just don't have the indices lining up, so it kind of moves back out.
Yeah.
And then it moves back into our area, fully moving through.
So it's just going to be icky and humid all day tomorrow. One more icky day before it gets nice.
Yes. And then, I mean, look at that.
And the rain.
Beautiful
And
week
the rain.
ahead. I'm looking forward to it.
We'll take that. All right. Thanks, Lindsay. Well, coming up in sports, a Chanute High School wrestler receives All-American honors. Plus, Bobby Witt Jr. competes in the MLB Home Run Derby. John Dales has those stories and more up next.
The 2024 Junior Women's Wrestling Freestyle National Championships wrapped up in North Dakota over the weekend. a local athlete shines on one of the sport's biggest stages. Callie Dillow, who will be a junior at Chanute High School this coming fall, is named a Fargo All-American at the National Championships. Competing at 170 pounds, she beat her first two opponents 10-0, 12-0, and advanced to the quarterfinals as one of the last 8 wrestlers standing in a tournament that features 128 participants in each weight class. Now today is day 2 of the MLB draft. Rounds 1 and 2 took place yesterday. Things speed up with rounds 3 through 10 starting this afternoon. The Royals drafted a 2-way player and a catcher in the first 2 rounds yesterday. They stay pitcher heavy in day 2. Kansas City drafts 8 players, 7 of which are pitchers, including Drew Beam, LP Langevin, and AJ Causey. All 3 of them are third-team All-Americans in 2024. Kansas City's lone position player is from the 2nd round, Kenyon Brown, a catcher from North Carolina A&T, who batted .322 as a junior this past season. Meanwhile, the Cardinals' only pick from day 1 was West Virginia shortstop J.J. Weatherholt. They lead off day 2 with Brian Holiday, who saw very limited action at Oklahoma State the year after being named JUCO World Series Most Outstanding Player. In the 4th round, they take Arizona State catcher Ryan Campos, who's batted above .350 his whole college career. They also draft a couple all Big 12 performers, Braden Davis and Josh Cross. Draft wraps up with rounds 11 through 20 tomorrow. Today also marks the beginning of Major League Baseball's All-Star break. None of the 30 Major League clubs play this evening, but the 2024 Home Run Derby takes place. Royals shortstop Bobby Witt Jr., one of 8 participants in tonight's Home Run Derby. The Kansas City slugger hit 20 home runs in the first round of the event, some of which you're seeing right now. That's good enough to send him through to the semifinals, which makes him the first Royal to do so since Danny Tartabull in 1991. Then in the semis, Witt Jr. goes against Jose Ramirez of the Guardians. He hits 17 more home runs that round compared to 13 from Ramirez. That puts him through to the final round, makes him the first Royal to ever get there. After sitting back watching the other semifinal where Dodger outfielder Teoscar Hernandez beats Philly slugger Alec Boehm. Final round is underway right now as we come on the air. Hernandez just hit 14 home runs in his final at-bat. That's the number for Witt Jr. to beat. That's it for sports. Back with more news after this.
NASA is celebrating 2 years of scientific operations for its James Webb Space Telescope. The powerful instrument is already changing how astronomers think about the cosmos. And as Jonathan Suri reports, to mark the milestone, Webb is showing us a softer side of the universe.
When we look out into space, sometimes we see familiar things from home.
Take a close look at NASA's latest out-of-this-world image from the James Webb Space Telescope, and you'll spot something of this world. Scientists are calling this the penguin and the egg, 2 galaxies dancing around one another more than 300 million light years from Earth.
This pair of galaxies has been interacting for several hundred million years and will continue to do so.
NASA released the new image Friday to mark 2 years of scientific operations for Webb, the most powerful telescope ever launched into space. And in that time, it's made scientists reconsider what they know about the universe.
It's telling us the universe formed these big galaxies perhaps a little earlier than we thought. So that means we have to revise our theories.
Webb has now found galaxies that we are seeing as they looked when the universe was only about 300 million years old. The universe is now 13.8 billion years old. So we're seeing back almost to the edge.
But Webb isn't just looking into the past. NASA also uses the telescope to study planets orbiting other stars.
To see if there's any one of these planets that has what we would call a habitable atmosphere, one that might support life.
Scientists say the possibilities with Webb are only limited by our imaginations.
I think some of the most exciting things on the horizon are actually things we haven't thought of yet. I think we have some surprises left out there for us.
As for the penguin and the egg, they'll continue their cosmic dance for another billion years or so before ultimately merging into one galaxy. In Atlanta, Jonathan Siri, Fox News.
Well, communicating isn't easy, especially for babies. Coming up, we'll meet one infant trying his best to talk with her deaf grandparents. A 6-month-old Florida infant is going viral for trying to communicate with her deaf grandparents using sign language. Alexis Clevenger has the adorable moment.
A beautiful relationship between a granddaughter and her grandparents.
She always lights up whenever she watches them signing to her. She gets really excited.
Before she can talk and walk, baby Jane is opening a new line of communication with her deaf grandparents.
Being with them every single day, seeing it every single day, just like she is, seeing it modeled and seeing it communicated to me every single day.
Jane's mom, Mara McCullough, says when her daughter was about 4.5 months old, she started moving her hands and babbling to her grandparents. That's when she took out her phone and started capturing those sweet moments. Just last week, Mara posted this video to TikTok.
I just saw her in her little chair start signing, and my parents started signing back to her.
Jane is seen excitedly waving her hands and trying to communicate. That video now has over 9 million views.
I wasn't expecting that reaction.
And it's something unexpected because Mara says it's a very common thing in the deaf community for babies to babble.
Now the world is seeing that, not just the deaf community. More people are realizing babies have the capabilities to babble in sign language.
She encourages other parents to get their children access to American Sign Language.
Make sure they're learning from someone who is a native signer, so someone who is deaf or someone who is a CODA like me, a child of a deaf adult, so that they're getting the proper signs.
In Jacksonville, Florida, I'm Alexis Clevenger.
Pretty cool. That's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We're going to leave you with video of a polar bear trying to cool down at the Prague Zoo. Have a great night and an even better tomorrow.